Hello, everyone. My name is JC Nolan, and you're listening to Blood and Ink. All right. Thank you for clicking on today's episode. Again, this is Blood and Ink. We are a horror genre podcast, and today we have some great stuff for you. Our Fright Bite has to do with a consultant who takes confessions from cryptids. It's an awesome story, and definitely not a job I'd want. So yeah, cryptids, you can keep those confessions, but I'm excited to read that for you guys. And then later on in the episode, I have a friend. She's going to be guest hosting with me, and we're going to be discussing... Wow, I can't talk already this early in the podcast. We're going to be discussing the Mandy movie. It's a 2018 movie starring Nicolas Cage, and this movie was simply just awesome. So stay tuned for that. Usually I would start the podcast with some horror news and things happening in the horror community, but I have had a crazy week this week, and so really haven't been able to keep up much with the news, so we are just going to skip that portion for this episode, and we're going to jump right into our Fright Bite. So, hope you guys enjoy it. Today's Fright Bite is titled, I Take Confessions from Cryptids. One just told me something I wasn't supposed to hear. Written by Reddit handle Pentyworth223. Internal Department File. Confessional Transcript number 37A. Clergy Consultant. Redacted. Subject. Type 7. The Wailing Heart. Status. Contained. Level 3 Psychological Observation Date. Redacted. I know how this sounds. You're already picturing a padded cell and a man whispering to himself in the corner. That's fair. I would too, if I hadn't been in the room when the skinwalker asked for forgiveness. Not metaphorically, not as some vague superstition. It spoke, to me, with a mouth that wasn't designed for language. I'm not a priest, not officially. I used to be. Catholic seminary dropout, class of 2008. But faith never left me. It just got rerouted. After I left, I started working as a crisis counselor. One thing led to another. Eventually, someone from the federal side knocked on my door. Said they were assembling a discrete unit for psychological containment and needed someone trained in theology and trauma. The job offer was vague. The pay was not. I signed the NDA and never looked back. My official title is Clergy Consultant for Type 7 Interactions. Internally, they just call us Sin Eaters. I work underground, a black site known only to the highest rungs of the department. Picture a concrete hive, windowless, buried under God knows where. My room has 2 chairs, a crucifix bolted to the wall, required, and a red line painted across the floor between me and whoever or whatever I'm talking to. They bring them in one at a time, shackled, sedated, sometimes bound in chains that rattle like old bones. Most don't speak. Some scream, a few cry, and on a rare occasion, one will ask to confess. They never lie. Last Tuesday, they wheeled in a subject I hadn't seen before. Type, humanoid cervid hybrid. Alias, the Wailing Heart. Origin, Appalachian Exclusion Zone. Containment breach history. Redacted. Speech capacity. Limited. Mimic cry possible. It stood 8 feet tall. Thin, malnourished. Almost. But the skin was taut like leather over muscle. Antlers twisted out from its skull like black branches burned in a fire. And its eyes. There were too many. Not just two, but several, blinking out of sync all across its face. It had no mouth, not at first. Then it grew one, and it whispered,
"Forgive me, Father, for I have seen what comes after the end."
I was trained for this. I've listened to abominations wail about the sins of forgotten civilizations. I've been told of feast rituals, dark places under rivers, even ancient names whispered by the wind. I can handle all that. But something about this one. The lights dimmed when it spoke. The wall began to sweat. My skin crawled with a sensation like static and fingers beneath it.
I did not mean to listen, but I did. It spoke from the blind side of heaven, and now I cannot forget.
Its voice shifted, deepened, became many voices at once, all saying the same thing.
They are coming back to take your silence.
I don't know what that means, but I haven't slept since. I asked who they were. Its head jerked violently, like something yanked it from behind. Then it whispered,
"The ones who walked the garden before man. You buried them in story. You chained them in myth. But prayers rot and blood sings louder."
The heart didn't blink any of its eyes. They all locked onto me, even the one just beneath its jawline, even the one that wept a dark, tar-like fluid from the side of its skull. It leaned forward, the red line between us practically pulsing on the floor. For a second, I thought it would cross it, that the thing wanted me to hear this too closely. But it didn't move further, just opened that stitched-together mouth and spoke again.
"The end isn't fire or flood. Not this time. The end is remembering."
I asked it what it meant. I kept my voice calm, steady, my notes from training running through my head like a litany. Establish dominance through stillness. Keep it talking. Focus on the logic of the confession, not the content. But there was no logic to this.
"There is a song written in the meat of all things. You sang it once. Before language, before names. And then you forgot."
Its fingers, too long, too many joints, flexed like claws against the cuffs binding it to the chair. It didn't struggle. It didn't need to.
"I heard the song. I heard it beneath the roots where the first clay bled. It was never meant for ears. I bled from mine for days. I still do. Inside."
I noticed then the faint trail of black along the sides of its neck, like dried blood, cracked, layered.
"There's something under your faith, Father,"
It said in a softer, almost childlike voice.
"and it remembers you."
The lights went out, just for a second, long enough for me to hear it move, only it hadn't. When the emergency fluorescence kicked on, the thing was still there, staring, smiling. Its mouth hadn't stopped moving. I checked the tape later. It only spoke 39 words aloud, but the tape caught hundreds of whispers layered underneath its voice. Words and languages I've never heard and don't want to understand. Even the audio engineer flagged the frequencies as non-human cognitive patterns. I haven't been right since. That night, I dreamed in static. I stood in a desert made of salt and bone, and something vast watched me from beyond the stars. I couldn't move. I couldn't even scream. My body was stuck in cruciform pose, arms splayed outward, held by invisible force. The heart stood at the edge of the desert, far away, still speaking. The sky rippled opened, and a black limb reached down, not from space, from behind it, like it peeled reality away and slid through. When I woke up, I had nosebleeds for 3 days straight. 3 nights ago, I saw one of the other subjects watching me through the observation glass. It shouldn't have been aware. It's a type 3, no higher cognition. But it pressed its face against the reinforced window and whispered something with no mouth. I don't know how I heard it. I've been hearing a lot of things lately. I don't sleep anymore. Not fully. Not without the dream returning. The salt desert, the limb, the wailing heart's voice whispering from 1,000 throats. And I'm starting to see shapes in mirrors that aren't mine. There's something else. I didn't want to admit it, but I think I'm starting to understand the language on the tape. Just little pieces. Sounds that shouldn't make sense suddenly do. I wrote one of the words down last night in my sleep. I found the paper this morning beside my bed, written in charcoal from a fire I don't remember lighting. The word means unmaking. I haven't reported it yet. I've started lying during my wellness checks. The psych evaluators are trained to spot instability, but I know the system. I used to be a part of it. I smile, I breathe evenly, I answer the questions like I'm still in control. But I've stopped letting them monitor my sleep patterns. I disconnected the biometric feed last week and blamed a static surge. If they knew I was dreaming in tongues, understanding them, I'd be sent to the deep levels. I've seen what happens down there. That's where they keep the breathers, the ones who no longer speak in human thought, the ones that don't need confession, only containment. But part of me wants to go back. I want to ask it what else it saw, what else it heard, what else is coming. I don't know if it's curiosity or something worse growing inside me. Either way, I'll write again if it lets me. If any of you are reading this and want updates, I guess just let me know. I'm not even sure if I should be talking about this anymore. I know they'll come for me if I write more, but silence feels worse. Super cool story. I love that it was written almost like a transcript from this consultant who works for some sort of federal entity. Yeah, I just love the idea behind the story. I thought it was really cool. And that was written by Pentyworth223. You can find them over on Reddit, and you should find them over on Reddit. And here is why. They just wrote another cryptid confession not too long ago. So there is a second one of these. So go check them out. They write a whole bunch of cool stuff. And also they were just really cool. They were really cool when I reached out to them wanting to read their story, they were super cool about it. So if you liked this, go check them out on Reddit. Like I said, you'll enjoy reading their other stories. And if you do enjoy them, I'm going to add a link into the show notes. It is the author's Buy Me a Coffee link. So yeah, if you like the story, if you're reading their stories on Reddit and you want to help Pentyworth get a cup of coffee, you can do that through that link. All right, so now it is time for our movie recap, and I am here with a good friend, Bee.
Hi,
Bee. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I'm excited about this.
I'm excited too, because you were really holding out on this movie. Where the hell did this movie come from?
So when JC asked if I would be interested in doing a movie review, I started compiling a list. And as far as scary movies go, I'm usually a basic bitch. I love the classics. Ghostface is my favorite, just like everyone else.
Well, they're classics for a reason.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. But I was like, you know what? What's something that someone typically hasn't seen when I bring it up to them? And I was like, okay, hear me out. I love Nicolas Cage. And
Which I did hear you out on.
Yes, you did. I feel like for a lot of people, you do have to give a little bit of grace when someone's like, I love Nicolas Cage with how you're going to respond.
But he truly is solid in like everything he does.
He is. And I love his movies no matter what. No matter whether I can't take him seriously or he's like acting very well. Either way, I enjoy it. So I was like, hey, I watched this movie. I remember there being a whole bunch of hubbub about it when it very first came out. And half of the reviews were like, this is the best freaking horror movie ever made. And then the other half was like, just another bullshit Nicolas Cage movie. So I was like, well, I need to see it for myself. Well, I ended up smoking way too much before I watched it. And like I told you, it was going to be like watching a brand new movie for me basically over again. Because I didn't really remember what happened in it.
You were just as like excited and just
shocked.
as like shocked when things were happening. It was so funny.
But I remembered being sucked in by the movie like nothing else I've ever watched, at least from home. It was almost like a movie theater experience from my couch. And then I did remember there's like this whole diatribe in the middle of it, this really scary scene that obviously we'll get to.
Yeah.
That was burned into my mind, but that's like it.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, do you want to watch it with me again? It's basically like the first time, but
yeah. And with like how you described it to me, I was like, well, this sounds interesting. I don't really know what to take from this. So yes, I do want to watch it.
Yeah.
And I guess we should probably tell everybody what the movie is, huh?
We should.
So the movie is Mandy. It is a 2018 movie that was directed by Panos Cosmatos. That's, every time I say a director's name, I'm like, this is the weird,
Hopefully.
a weird name. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
And
like,
then- yes,
it's
there are-
never like just like John Smith. You
Yeah.
know? Like it's always
precisely. And I read
intense
that
name.
he's Italian Canadian.
I
which
did
is
not read that, but
pretty
I'll
cool.
believe you.
Yeah.
And obviously this movie stars Nicolas Cage, and it had an estimated budget of $6 million. I thought that sounded like a lot of money, but when I looked into it, $6 million is actually a low to mid budget movie.
Yes, I was just about to say I didn't see that anywhere. I didn't look that part up. That seems super low for the amount of post-production work that was clearly put into that, like the music, the just like all
outfit,
the
like costumes,
computerized, yeah,
I feel like
the makeup. Because the
special,
gore.
some special effect makeup, and
the
stuff.
lighting.
There was a lot that was put into this movie.
That's like Broadway level lighting. We'll get to it, I'm sure, but that seems very low. They did a lot with $6 million.
I agree, and like I said, I think I just heard $6 million and was like, oh my god. But then when actually looking into it, I'm like, oh okay.
It's like
other movies have
nothing.
like 600 million,
Right?
budget,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But all right, well, getting into the opening scene, we meet Red, who is played by Nicolas Cage. He's doing some sort of logging job, and after he's done with his day at work, he gets helicoptered out of the logging area back home, which off the bat, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, why is he being helicoptered?
It seems really interesting. It made it. I don't know if the intention was to give us the feel that there's somewhere. They're pretty desolate the entire movie, but I don't know if that was supposed to give us the vibe that this is somewhere like up in like Washington or maybe even Alaska where there is just nothing, no civilization.
How are you going to get the logs back?
Right.
Like, are you going to take them in the helicopter? Like,
Okay, that's a super fair point. I have no fucking idea why they had the helicopter, honestly.
Yeah. But so off the bat, just with what we're seeing in these first scenes, we're noticing, the cinematography is super cool. All the different use of color is very strong throughout the movie. Like just the color tone of the scenes, very big throughout the movie, and it really helps you transition into like the feelings that you're supposed to have during those scenes.
Absolutely. And I put in there, one of the notes I have just right off the bat from the beginning of the movie, we talked about this too. There are some shows and movies that are a certain time frame. And I used like Stranger Things as an example. While the sets, the clothing, the decoration, whatever, is kind of like fits that time, like the 70s, 80s or whatever. This fit it in a way where you felt like some of it was actually maybe filmed with a camera from that time. Like it really had an old timey feel.
Like a little grainy
Right.
in the almost said photos, in the video.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was almost like the opening to The Shining, where it's that creepy music playing and it's like aerial views of the forest and stuff.
Yeah.
Same
yeah.
vibe.
No, I totally get that vibe. So yeah, he's helicoptered out. He goes back home, and this is where we meet. I actually don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend. They never really said, but we meet Mandy. It's his partner, significant other. She's a interesting looking woman. And I don't mean that in a bad way. She just doesn't, she looks unique. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They have a super cool house out there in the woods.
They
like
do.
you were like in love with that house when we were watching it.
Losing my mind. It reminded me a lot of, there's a couple of things in this movie that actually remind me of It Follows, only in the way where it's like something so unique that is never talked about. It's like the seashell.
The seashell phone.
The seashell phone.
I love the
I'm like,
I don't know if it was a phone or e-reader, but yes,
Right.
I loved that.
So similarly, I'm like, why is no one talking about how this house is made out of fucking windows? Like, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Super cool, and it was just a bunch of windows and like shelves and like a little wooded cabin kind of out there. So yeah, that was super cool.
Loved it.
But we kind of proceed through just the couple being cute. They have like really cute interactions, almost like a montage of that. They're like laying in bed.
I get the vibe that they have this like super deep, calming connection. It seems like as we move forward, things we hear Mandy say, maybe she had a really shitty past. And then maybe Nicolas Cage is like, or Red is her like safe space, and seems like we learn earlier in the movie, maybe he had a bit of a past too, where he stopped certain vices for her, and they're both just like a really good match. It seems like they're like very deeply in love, and I think the way the camera moves, the lighting, like you said, also changes at this point to like let us know that, which is really cool.
And I totally skipped over, before he gets home, we're given that Act 1 title card.
Right.
Which is the Shadow Mountains, is what that title card says. So yeah, this movie is super unique in that it actually has, instead of just your main title card, it has a title card for every act. And this first act, the title card is almost like done in a fantasy style. Yeah. And then this act is almost like presented as this like calm fantasy like type of feeling. Yeah, like their own, just like their love and their home and their beautiful life that they kind of have out in the woods. Yeah, and but I will say that the shots, although they are super emotional and like kind of like, oh, this is like they're so in love, there's like a back sense of like eeriness almost throughout everything, like, ooh, something's gonna happen, you know. And I don't know why exactly or how even that was portrayed. I feel it most from Nicolas Cage. And so what I did was, because when you and I initially watched it, I did not take notes, so when I was working yesterday, I played it back, and that's why now my notebook is full. I really caught on this time to when there are scenes together, and folks, there is not a lot of dialogue in this movie for the first probably 20 or 30 minutes. I feel like when they're together, the lighting, the mood, their conversation, it's very loving, very connected. But when it's like, when they're showing Nicolas Cage kind of in his own head, it's almost like he intuitively knows that it isn't going to last forever and like something bad is going to happen. And that's when we're introduced to his first, what we learned is a nightmare that he has about Mandy, right? Yes, and I did see a lot of discourse about whether these are nightmares or whether I saw a lot of stuff about that. But, okay. But yeah, we see a lot of shots of Mandy. Yeah. Shots of her in the water, shots of her behind. I think they have a fire pit, and she's like standing behind it. And then we see Mandy walking through a forest where she comes upon a baby deer that has died. Yes. So she gets very emotional. She goes home and tells Red about it, I believe. Because this is where it gets a little weird. I'm like, okay, so was that a dream? Or did she actually go home and tell Red about it? Because Red also had a nightmare right around this time. It's confusing because then it jumps to them on the couch and Mandy is waking him up saying you're having a nightmare. Yeah. And she asks him what it's about, and he doesn't want to tell her, but he says, sometimes I think we should move. Like, we shouldn't be out here anymore. Well, and that leads you to believe, like, okay, something's about to happen. And then also the baby deer being dead is almost like the death of, like, purity of something good. You know what I mean?
It kind of reflects the whole first like 15 to 20 minutes of the movie, because when she's walking through this forest, it's almost like ethereal, and it's very beautiful dappled sunlight. It's like very warm, friendly, but she stumbles upon a dead baby deer. Yeah. So it's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if he was dreaming or not, but I do have some notes about that like towards the end.
Perfect.
So we'll right now we're kind of like, was this a dream for him or was it not? Because this movie is also presented in a very trippy way. There's a lot of trippy scenes where you're like, wait, what's happening?
Yes. I think one way I described this movie to you as was kind of like you feel like I don't know if they're trying to make you feel like you're tripping the whole time, like you yourself, the viewer.
I think they are.
It's great. It's nuts.
I think they are, because drugs really play a huge role in this movie that we'll get
massively.
We'll get to.
Right.
So we do get to a scene, and this is another really trippy scene, and it's like Mandy's walking, and then it morphs into like Mandy walking somewhere else, somewhere in the forest next to a road, and that's where we see a van pass her, and she makes eye contact with someone in the van. It's actually a cult. That's where we see the cult for the first time, and we've kind of heard a little bit about this cult just on the radio, kind of playing in the background, right? Where they talk about, you know, there's drug cults out there, be careful, blah, blah, blah. But that's all we really heard of it until we see them pass in the van.
Actually see them. And it's giving really big, like, Manson family vibes, because he's in a van with, like 5-ish people. Yeah. They all seem like they're either tired or could be on drugs or something like that. And the light all of a sudden turns like a deep red, and the music goes, hey, you should be scared right now.
Yes. And I do feel like there's a transition from this light feeling, tint to everything to where it turns like a blue red. Yes. And you're like, ooh, this is getting weird. Right. And so that finishes Act 1 with like them making that first contact. And so I do have some thoughts on Act 1.
I love it. Let's hear it.
So I think in Act 1, Mandy is portrayed very much as this pure good. Okay? Okay. So I feel like she's almost like, kind of like you said about the forest being like ethereal. Like she's almost like this like goddess presence for red.
Okay. Yeah. Her. No, I can definitely, I feel, almost like putting her on a pedestal or something like that, maybe. Everywhere all of these different theories that I looked up describe this part as, we're supposed to be viewing Mandy as like grounded and earthy and good, and then that good is introduced to evil essentially at this point. Yes. So I think it's all about the same, like similar. Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like we're talking similar vibes here.
Yes.
So then we are given Act 2's title card, and that's the Children of the New Dawn. That's the name of the cult. Right. And this act card has a totally different vibe than the first one. Again, that first one kind of felt fantasy-like. There was some moments in the first one where the sky looked like a fantasy world almost, stuff like that.
And the font for the first act was like blue and almost like glittery. Yeah. And Children of the New Dawn, it's like dun-dun and like dark red, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, and I don't know why it was giving me like Children of the Corn.
Yes.
But right?
I feel like and we caught some the first time we watched it. I feel like there are so many callbacks or just like nods to different horror movies, so
absolutely, like they for sure pulled a lot of inspiration from different places, but I thought they did it really well. It wasn't so like, good. Oh, they're copying. It was like, oh no, this is a nod to that movie.
Yeah, this is like
respected.
Yeah, different characters just being inspired by. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we get that title card, and the scene starts with us now at the home base of the cult. I don't know what the cult lair
is one of my favorite scenes, and I will cry from laughing right now talking about it. The cult leader is a fucking diva, and I will never not laugh when I watch. I cracked up again yesterday.
Dude, my notes literally say Jeremiah's the leader, and he's laying there apathetic and generally being a little bitch.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
He is. He's just there like moping,
whining,
like fucking Eeyore over here. You know what I mean? Yes. And one of his followers, Mother Marlene, she's an older woman, gray hair. Mother Marlene is there, and she's trying to, like, help him out. Like, hey, is everything okay? Is there anything we can do? And Jeremiah's being a complete asshole.
The worst person. He's so mean to Marlene.
He's so mean to her, and he literally, like, tells her that she sucks at everything and, like, sends her away.
Yep.
And at first I was like, damn, that's harsh. But then I learned that I hate Marlene. So, you know,
So
I really don't care, you know?
We're actually okay with it now.
Yeah.
But then he asks Marlene to grab, what's his name, Brother Swan?
Brother Swan.
Brother
yep.
Swan. And the sexual tension between Jeremiah and Brother Swan.
I know.
Is a real.
It is. So I looked up the origin story of what's happening here.
Okay.
So Mother Marlene was actually Jeremiah's first follower.
Okay.
So she was the original follower. And then Brother Swan is her actual brother. And so
God.
he was the second follower, and supposedly the first time he ever laid eyes on Jeremiah, he like started to weep and was like, "Oh, you're the second coming," you know.
So
that's
Brother
their
Swan
origin
started
story.
this? Who he perpetuated?
I would say Marlene started, and then Brother Swan was
Cheese
like
and
right
rice.
there, and Brother Swan basically the whole time he's like sucking this dude's dick, you know.
Absolutely.
He's like, "Oh, I'll do whatever you want." Like, "Oh, love me."
He literally, well, let's continue. I was going to say, he will do anything for Jeremiah.
Yeah, and
They all will.
Marlene wants to, but
Yeah.
he's kind of like, I don't know. He's mean to her. I don't know why, but I also thought it was significant that the cult leader's name was Jeremiah,
Right.
because biblically that's the last prophet. Funny enough, known as the weeping prophet.
Okay, so this fits.
Right?
Like it's because he is a baby.
Yeah. And then, so he's sitting there complaining because he saw Mandy, and he says he needs Mandy. There was something between them, and he felt it, and he needs her.
He can't live without her.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know, I would say this is crazy, but men just be like that on a regular basis anyway.
I was going to say, it truly, that part is truly terrifying because that is like stalker behavior.
Yeah, right? Like,
Get
I
a
feel
2-second glimpse and you're like, boom, that's the one. Sometimes. And it really happens that way sometimes.
I know.
It's scary.
Yeah. And then I also wrote, because I saw this, and it's kind of similar to what you were talking about. Like, okay, Jeremiah's evil.
Yeah.
And Mandy is all good. And of
Right.
course, evil always, like, wants to take that good and, like, destroy it, you
Right.
know? And so it's like, well, why does he want her? Well, just because he does, because she's so good and he felt that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I can jump on that one because we never get an actual excuse from him as to why he needs Mandy around so bad. And so I
Just
would
felt her
bandwagon
good
that.
energy, you
I like
know?
it.
Yeah, yeah. So Brother Swan comes in, or comes in because Marlene tells him, and he says he will get Mandy. And at that point, they transfer each other what I initially thought was a rock.
Yep.
They handed off what looked like a rock. It is not a rock. It is a whistle. And it's called the Horn of Abraxas.
Yes.
Which I totally missed the first time. I had to look it up. I was like, what the heck did they call this thing?
Okay, so it's not just you because we both caught it, I guess, after the fact. Because in the next scene with Mandy, the book she's reading, it actually I'm going to read it to you in a minute. Okay. I wrote down the entire
Like the synopsis
quote.
of the book. Oh, quote. Okay.
Right. I'll
Okay.
explain in just a second. But it's really weird because, we thought it was a rock. Apparently it's a horn or it's some sort of almost like musical instrument. And when they show it to us, there is this like green flashing light.
Yes.
And I feel like you, me, and Ashley were all like, are we supposed to know what the hell this green light means?
Yeah, which the green cinematography comes up a couple of times. It's specific to when they're like showing demon artifacts almost, you know?
Yes. Anything that connects like these demon people that we're going to be introduced to with the cult.
Yes. But I did think that was cool that, again, it's just kind of bringing a different feeling with that different color tone to...
Absolutely.
But I also feel like they didn't really explain that well through the movie. They didn't really hit that much.
Yeah.
So after that handoff, we move to our next scene where we see Mandy at work, right?
Yes.
And so she's at work. She looks like she's a counter girl for, I don't know, like a corner store or something like that.
Yep.
And we hear somebody come into the store, and it is Mother Marlene. I really thought it was going to be Brother Swan because he said he was going to get her. But Mother Marlene's like, I want you to like me, you know, so I'm gonna get her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like she was like, well, I'm going to go do recon.
Yeah.
Just to see, make him happy. But it's this really strange interaction. And this happens throughout the entire movie where when you watch it, some scenes will be like almost in a little bit of slow-mo. And almost every single scene until about halfway through the movie is built on this tension that lasts just like a few seconds too long.
Yeah.
And that's what this scene to me is. It's this really quiet uncomfortableness of just two people being alone in a very small store together, and one of them is like trying to get the other to talk, and Mandy's clearly just like, I just want to read my freaking book, man.
Yeah, Mandy's trying to read her book,
Yes.
but it is a super uncomfortable interaction, but I think it's picked up as so uncomfortable because Mandy is trying to be nice. She's just
Yes.
working, you know, trying to provide some sort of customer service, and this lady's asking like very personal questions.
Like,
and,
where
like,
do you live?
Yeah, where do you? She asks her where she lives, and I'm like, Mandy answers her. She's like, oh yeah, we live down there by Crystal Lake, which ode to Jason.
Yes.
You know, Camp Crystal Lake. But I'm like, what are you doing, Mandy?
Yeah,
What are you
if
doing?
you can see, like, throughout this whole movie, there's probably not that many houses around Crystal Lake. You're giving her your exact location here.
Yeah, so now Marlene and the cult knows where they live. Is this the part where you're saying her book? Because she was reading a book there.
So this is where we missed it. I should have been looking at my notes. Before Jeremiah sees her walking down the street, there is a shot of her in their house in front of those like really big windows where their bed is.
Yes.
And she's reading a book, and the book is called Seeker in the Serpent's Eye. And this is the book that she's reading through the whole first half of the movie. And she's narrating what she's reading as they're filming her. And it says, under the crimson primordial sky, surrounded by the jagged rocks of the ancient volcanic mountain, the wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace of the fissure? I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Fissure?
Fissure?
Fissure.
Until his hand touched a smooth, glassy surface, cold as ice. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Slowly he withdrew it and held it before him in the fading light of the blood-red suns. It glowed from within, a ghostly emerald light, strange and eternal.
Okay. So she's reading about that.
Yes.
And it's connecting that green.
It gives us
Light.
no explanation of what that means.
Okay.
However, when I heard emerald light, I was like, run that shit back. I need to write this.
Well, and I feel
Quote
like
down.
the serpent is like often in religion related to like evil.
Yes.
You know, so you know we're like making some connections. Not really any explanations.
No, but there's
we got some
something.
connections.
Yeah, there's something
Yeah.
there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't even pick that up.
No, I didn't either the first time, but she is very soft spoken, so I feel like it's easy to miss. We had
There's
a lot of snacks too, so
There was some points like when we get there, I'm gonna be like, so this is where I was getting snacks, and
Yeah.
I didn't write my notes that well. So, but we return after the whole scene at her job.
Yeah.
We return to the cult hangout spot. Again, I just don't know what to call it, but
I don't know where they stay.
yeah, no, me either.
They're in some sort of home.
Sometimes they're in a home, and then other times it's like it looks like a different home or like a hotel. I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's just weird and not explained. Again, but I feel like it's just supposed to add to the creepiness, and it's not a huge deal. But it's like, I
but
guess
it
we're
was-
not going
It
to
was
talk
something I
about it.
picked up on.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, where are they?
Yeah.
But we're back at Cult Hangout Spot, and at this point, Brother Swan, he has the horn. He goes outside, and he is with another follower. This guy is so derpy.
This is my
And he's one of
favorite
my-
scene of the whole movie.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite characters. I think
Yes.
he was funny, but I think his name might have been Brother Hanker, but I'm
Okay.
not positive. But yeah, this guy's derpy. His mouth's always open. He's trying to catch flies. So Brother Swan goes out. He hits the horn. It makes a whistling noise. You expect something to happen immediately, and nothing really happens.
Right.
He goes back to the car where Brother Hanker is waiting for him.
And he just keeps rolling the window up and down,
Yes.
up and down. And it's another long, uncomfortable. It's just like, why is the camera still going? But
Yeah.
it's great.
It's probably like a 2-minute window. No, maybe not 2 minutes. Like a minute.
Felt like it.
Minute and a half of like rolling up and down his window, just like back and forth. And it's like, well, how long are we supposed to wait? And it's it was just so funny. I love that scene.
It's great. It's
really,
great.
like, comedically in there, timed weird, but it works so well.
Yes, and there are about approximately 0 other comedic relief areas, possibly, unless you want to laugh at the cult leader, because he's
ridiculous.
He's drama. So
yes.
Yeah.
So after that, a demon motorcycle gang shows up.
They do.
Yep. We wait a little bit. Demon motorcycle gang shows up. Their name is the Black Skulls, and we find out that whistle, contacts them, and they come out. And it's pretty cool. I think there's 4 of them, and they all have really different styles, like different, like, little horror styles.
Yes, and they're all done so well. I put first of all, they're kind of giving the Lost Boys. They show up on dirt bikes and 4-wheelers.
Yeah.
And they're all in leather or metal. Literally one's wearing an all metal armor with spikes all over it. One looks like Hellraiser, but has like a gooey face.
Yep.
One kind of looks like Jeepers Creepers, but it's like a tight mask across his face. Mm-hmm. All very different, all equally scary. And they're clearly there to be paid in some way to do something nefarious for the cult.
Yes.
They are like the hired henchmen.
Yes. And I did read where, yes, the inspiration was pulled from
Hellraiser?
Hellraiser.
Okay,
yes. So,
okay.
Yeah, that inspiration definitely, like, we were spot on there.
Awesome.
So Brother Swan hands one of the biker gang dudes a mason jar full of goo. It looks like gray goo.
Literally like children's goo or gack, but it is like gray.
And I had initially in my notes had written they drink some demon juice. Like, I don't know what that is. It's demon juice. So I come to find out through some research, it's actually just like LSD. It's some weird LSD.
It's we're explained that a little bit farther in the movie, but it's this super intense LSD where we see one character literally dab their finger, put it on their tongue, and they have this like existential mind explosion, and these demons are like, give me the jar, and they chug the whole thing.
Chugging that shit.
They're in deep.
So the demons are like, hey, yeah, this is great. Thank you so much. But if we're going to do this thing where we're going to steal somebody, it's blood for blood, baby. Like, we need some more than this. So they look back at, some of the other cult members, and they don't actually show it, but there's this one chunky, like, curly-headed cult member.
They body shame a lot.
Yeah.
It's bad. But they give him up in a hot minute.
He's given up. He's given up to the demon gang.
Yes.
So we skip forward now to a new scene. We see Red and Mandy. They're sleeping in bed. Mm-hmm. And this scene is super cool. It's done so well.
I was so excited because I think this was the first time watching the movie where I was like, okay, good, he likes it.
Yeah, no, this was super good because they're sleeping. The camera starts doing this white light effect, like on and off, like
kind of like a strobe light.
Yeah, it's like strobing, so we can kind of see the demons moving closer, but you know how things look in strobe light where it's like you're here and then it's like a glitch
closer
forward
and closer, right?
And then they are right on top of the couple, and the gang goes ahead and attacks, and they're like face to face with them.
It's terrifying.
Like, Mandy wakes up and screams, and then it's like all hell breaks loose.
Yes, and it's very, very chaotic because the cult members for some reason are there too, but they're just standing and watching.
Yeah, but yeah, Mandy gets kidnapped. She's brought to the cult lair. Mm-hmm. And this she wakes up there. She's tied to a chair with Mother Marlene and another woman. Her name is actually Sister Lucy.
Yes.
So she's sitting there. She's tied up, and Mother Marlene's going off about something. That's one thing about the cult group. They talk, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And I love it. Because it's like, you guys are batshit insane. Yeah. But the acting is so good. And the vibe is so right that you just accept it as a viewer. Like, I'm not supposed to know what the hell this crazy lady's talking about. It just
sounds like a string of words.
Yes.
But she's going off on her stuff. And she, with an eyedropper, drops some weird drops in Mandy's eyes, which I'm assuming are LSD.
I've always assumed it was acid because of what transpires after this. But the creepiest part is they have this like fist-sized wasp in a jar.
It's huge. It's huge.
A gigantic wasp, and they she holds it with tongs, not tweezers, tongs.
Yeah.
That's how big it is. And they kind of hold it up to her neck so that it stings her in the neck. And we don't really know what that does. I'm assuming they're just trying to drug her the hell up.
Yeah, I feel like it just is going to add to the altering of whatever. You know, like how some like frogs are poisonous, and if you look them, you know, it's exactly that's what I assumed. But it was huge and freaky.
Yes, and we assume that's what they're doing. That it's all to drug her because they immediately untie her, and there's kind of like a pan into her. A zoom into her face, and you see her pupils just go.
They take up her whole freaking eye, dude. You're like, oh my god, she is tripping balls. So at this point, she has been kidnapped and is now tripping balls and kidnapped. I'm like, this is my worst nightmare. It could get no worse, but it does. It gets worse. It gets worse.
Just keeps from here. This is what I put in my notes somewhere. I put right around here. This is like the top of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
And we're about to start going down. The next part is the only part I remember from the first time I watched this movie. And it is like a, what would you say, 5-minute long like diatribe from the cult leader.
Yes. So yeah, she's taken to Jeremiah.
Yes.
Everything in the scene is super blue and red, almost like wearing 3D glasses. And at this point, she's tripping so hard, there's like
tracers, like when people move, there's trails and everything. And Jeremiah just starts going on and on, basically explaining to her and us, really for the first time, what his beliefs are, which is that he is like the chosen one. God told him to go out and take and do and get whatever he wants.
Yeah.
She's kind of just looking at him like, what the hell is happening? And he starts playing music for her, which is his own music. I realized
Was it?
Yes. So he said it's like the Carpenters, but better. And you can hear the lyrics if you're paying attention to it. They're singing about him, like how he's the chosen one.
Oh my god!
This, that, and the other.
I missed that completely.
And well, it's one of the reasons why she starts laughing in a few minutes after this diatribe comes to an end.
Yeah. So he truly, like, they don't show like time passing and you understand like, whoa, he's having a long monologue. No. He has a whole, like, 5-minute monologue. Again, similar to Marlene and other times in the movie, it's just a string of words where you're like, what the hell is he talking about? You know? Mandy is sitting there on the ground, and you just feel so bad for her because you're like, she's tripping balls. She got kidnapped, and now she's got to listen to this guy who, he's wearing, like, an all-white outfit with big shoulder pads.
Yes.
It's almost like angelic, like oh, I'm this angel.
It looks like something that you would see in religious imagery of like a saint.
Yes,
how they have like the wide shoulders that come out. It's like how he thinks of himself.
Yeah. So crazy cinematography really makes you feel like you're sitting there tripping with Mandy.
The face thing.
They have a shot of Jeremiah's face. And at times, it, like, blends into Mandy's face, but so seamlessly that it just looks like both of them at the same time. Yeah. And you're like, wait a second, does his face look weird? It does. And then it'll stop. And
you had to point it out. At first, I was like, what? Oh my God, it is. Now it's Mandy. It starts as him and it happens so slow.
It's so subtle.
And the camera is so tight on their face, too. And he's so intently staring at you and talking at you that you're staring into his eyes and you kind of don't realize it's happening until it's a new face. I'm telling you, it's insane. It'll make you feel like you're on drugs if you're not.
It made me feel like I was on drugs.
Yes.
But he finishes his monologue, and now I'm just going to say what I remember here. He gets naked.
Yeah, he starts talking about he gets to have whatever he wants, and he thinks he should get to have Mandy, essentially.
Yes.
And he disrobes.
He disrobes. I like that. He disrobes. And then Mandy starts laughing because, again, she's tripping balls. What the hell is going on? What is he talking about? There's his music playing in the background that's saying a bunch of weird shit. And so she starts laughing. Jeremiah he's jerking off, right?
Yes. So at first his feelings are hurt.
Yes.
Because she's like, you made this, you guys made this music. And he says yes. And that's when she starts giggling. Mm-hmm. And then she's watching him naked, starts chuckling. I would say chuckling. It grows to laughter. And then it's like a full belly laugh. And at that point, he goes from like being sad to I'm going to jerk off now.
Yeah, and then
Right,
he's
I
upset.
feel like that.
He's upset because she's laughing and he can't, like, I'm guessing, he can't
Yes.
finish. Because it's an angry jerk off. It does not
Oh,
look,
it doesn't seem fun or
very aggressive,
yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
He's angry and he starts screaming at everyone in the room to like
"Don't look at me."
stop looking at him.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
So he gets pissed.
Oh, isn't this the mirror scene though with Jeremiah right before they go outside to see Nicolas Cage? Sorry to cut in. When he looks in the mirror and he's like,
when he's like, what do I do?
what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And he's talking, oh, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do over and over again. And then he's like, he is a narcissist. And he stops after saying that. He says it again uncomfortably like 20 times in a row. And we watch him do that. And then he says, never doubt yourself. And then it's like, oh, Jesus, what's he gonna do next?
Yeah, and then he's like, I know what I'm gonna do, or something,
I just had to bring that part up because that freaked me out. Because it's like,
because you're like, he's crazy.
Yeah, we're dealing with we really do not know what he's about to do because he is a crazy person.
Yeah, and then we see Red tied up, so we're like, oh no, and he's tied up with barbed wire too.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so he's got barbed wire around his wrist and then barbed wire around his mouth.
Yes.
The cult is there. When he wakes up, again, Jeremiah goes on like a little talking spiel where he's talking about how he's so loved by his cult members. They would do anything for him. And he presents Sister Lucy with a gun that has 1 bullet in it.
Yes.
And Sister Lucy is about to play some Russian roulette. It is very obvious that Sister Lucy does not want to play Russian roulette.
But she is going to.
But she is going to, because, I don't know. She's there, and she's like, damn. So she tries, she does it, doesn't die. He takes the gun back, and he's like, see, this is how much I'm loved. And then he proceeds to stab Nicolas Cage with a green knife. So we're getting that emerald color when we see the knife. He pulls the knife out, stabs Nicolas Cage. That felt so random to me.
It was very random. It was a very large knife. And before Brother Swan stabs him, he says, take a good look, you worthless piece of human excrement. This is the tainted blade of the Pale Knight, straight from the abyssal layer. Again, we don't know.
This is one of the parts, and there's a couple of parts that I'm like, they don't explain it.
No.
Okay, he said a lot of words there, all right? And I still don't know what the hell is going on with that knife.
I almost feel like we're just supposed to assume that everything they're talking about is just based off their own religion that they have created or Jeremiah has created, whatever belief.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I looked it up, though, and you know that the Horn of Abrax, so Abrax is a Egyptian demon.
Oh, okay.
So there is a little religion stuff there.
Okay. Then it just makes no sense then because Jeremiah, one thing he does make very clear is that he is God's favorite.
Yes. It's like maybe the god of the underworld's favorite or something.
Maybe a different god than the typical Christian god we hear about. That's fair.
At this point, he's been stabbed and we see the cult go inside somewhere. At this point, I really don't know where they are. I don't know if they're at the cult compound still or what.
Yeah, it's hard to determine. Mm-hmm. I think there's so much happening. It was hard for me to pay attention to the structures they were in. Again, I don't know if they're trying to make it confusing on purpose too. I feel like it's Red and Mandy's house. Like they've been abducted, but they hold them in their home. I think
it kind of looked that way.
Yeah,
but I don't really know where they are. But they come out of the home carrying what appears to be a body in a bag.
Yes.
We're safe to assume that, yes, it is Mandy. And they go ahead and string her up over a tree branch. They get some sort of like gasoline, pour it all over, and then they light Mandy on fire right in front of Nicolas Cage, who has to sit there and watch. And at first, I'm thinking, oh, well, they killed her, and now they're lighting her body on fire.
That's what I thought.
But then we see the body start to kick and move as she's set on fire. And this is probably the heaviest scene in the whole movie.
For me, definitely. I think because we assumed she was dead. And again, I think we realized around the same time, and it was like, oh my God. Because they're doing it on purpose. And then, Brother Swan said they taunt Nicolas Cage this whole time too. Like he said something like the darker the whore, the brighter the flame or something, and then threw the match on her. And I was like, oh my God. And at this point you're like, if he gets out of here, I want to watch him kill every single one of them.
Yeah. Which we don't get disappointed.
No, not at all. But you're like ready for they do a really good job at justifying the next act, which is like we go into his rampage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But before we get into his rampage, Mandy burns up. The cult leaves.
Yes.
The cult leader is wearing very cunty boots. You did point that out.
He is.
He's wearing cunty boots. And it's just giving, like, cunty attitude as he leaves. Kind of like pompous, like, gotcha,
Pompous is the perfect word
Right?
for him.
Like
a pompous diva.
asshole.
Or asshole,
Diva works. So, Nicolas Cage is able to slide out of his restraints, which looks freaking awful because, they are barbed wire.
Yeah.
And he walks up to Mandy's body. Mandy is like dust, but like still in her shape.
Yes.
And, I was like, that's weird. I don't know. I'm like, she should be like a dust pile, if anything.
Right.
Or, but she, he stands next to her and she kind of blows away and it's very sad. He goes inside this home and stuff gets really weird in here. There's a weird commercial playing that has the cheddar goblin on it. Do you remember that commercial?
Yes. Again, it goes back to that. It's just like something super weird in a scene that we're just not going to talk about, but it's there. I think
they like point it out specifically too. Like he watches the commercial like it means something. We're like, what does that mean? I don't think it means anything.
It's so funny because like the way it's filmed after everything that's happened and how he's acting, I think they're clearly trying to show us that right now he's in shock.
Yes.
But we're too focused on the goblin mac and cheese to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like what I was paying attention to the whole time. But yeah, just another odd scene.
Yeah. He goes, he does have a nightmare about Mandy for the first time. It's
right.
a cartoon nightmare. And I'm going to be honest, he has a couple of cartoon nightmares about Mandy, like animated nightmares. I'm sure there's some meaning behind them.
Has to be.
I don't know what that meaning is.
Up until this point too, his quote unquote nightmares or whatever we think they are, were not cartoons. This is the first one where I think we were all thrown off. We were like,
I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, is this a different movie at this point?
Yeah.
But he wakes up from that nightmare. He goes into the bathroom, finds his bathroom vodka, because everybody has to have some bathroom vodka.
Just in case.
You never know. I carry 2 bathroom vodkas just in case.
You gotta have a backup.
Yeah, you gotta have a backup for your backup, So he starts chugging this bathroom vodka and he sits on the toilet and just starts screaming. And it's intense. This is another one of those scenes. It goes on for longer than expected, but he's giving it his all. It's raw, it's emotional. He's just screaming from inside his soul.
So I have a couple of things about this scene. I feel like I've said this is my 3rd time now. This is my favorite scene of the movie for sure.
Okay.
So what is interesting about this scene is I stopped yesterday and I watched it to double check because I thought I was right, but the camera does not break away from him. That whole scene.
So
that
it's
is
just one
nonstop.
continuous shot.
One continuous shot. This man, like JC said, snaps awake, runs into the bathroom, and it does not cut away from him from that moment. Mm-hmm. So he's just aggressively, angrily grieving. He goes through all of these emotions while he's chugging the vodka, and you can tell what he's thinking about almost when he displays every emotion. To me, this is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any movie ever.
Yeah,
and I feel
felt like it was solid.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page because I truly feel that if it was any other actor than Nicolas Cage, they would have gotten their flowers for that. And I've never really heard critics or whatever be like, that was a masterclass in unhingedness.
Yeah.
He is unhinged. He's also in whitey tighties and bloody and
yeah. I never thought about it, but he wasn't wearing pants even the whole time he was,
getting stabbed and stuff.
Up and got stabbed and all that stuff. But that's because he got taken out of bed. He was not wearing pants.
Yeah.
What a small detail, but accurate, right?
Yeah, socks, underwear, and then a baseball tee or whatever.
It's his favorite t-shirt.
His favorite t-shirt. It's just that the acting, I mean, he's like, I don't even know, hyperventilating, screaming, crying. He's angry crying, then grieving crying, and then almost like...
And you can really see the difference between the different types of cries.
Right.
Absolutely.
He goes from like fury to like devastated, like back and forth, and you can tell.
Super cool scene. And you said it kind of had the visual aspect of
The Shining.
Yeah, which I totally agree with. Because The Shining had like... It was the wallpaper in that bathroom. It was like very...
What word did you use when we were watching it? But it's almost like a gaudy... It's like a maximalist 70s.
Yes. And I feel like The Shining had a lot of that.
Yes.
But yeah, so super cool scene. He is just losing it in the bathroom, and he decides like, "Hey, I'm gonna get revenge."
Yes.
You know? We move forward to a new scene where Red meets one of his friends. I don't know how they are friends. You know, I don't know what their whole backstory is.
Yeah, it's not really described, but you get the sense that they've known each other for a while.
And I feel like I got the sense that they used to do some stuff back in the day. Like I don't know if they were like killing people or something, but they used to do something.
I think that is super apropos to the previous scene that we just watched, because he has bathroom vodka for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's almost like this is my old drinking and hunting buddy, because he goes to get weapons.
For hunt. He says he's like, I need to go get my stuff for hunting.
Yeah.
And it's like a crossbow.
Correct.
His friend gives him some special arrows that'll like shoot through anything, he says.
His friend asks no questions besides, what are you hunting? And Nicolas Cage says, Jesus freaks. And he's just like, I have more arrows for you.
Yeah.
Have fun.
And he also says like, oh, your crossbow is just like you left it, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why do you have his crossbow? Like, I don't know. There's just some stuff here. But
they were up to some stuff together, for sure.
Also, this friend knows freaking everything. Like, why does he know so much?
Also, why aren't you warning your friends?
Right? He knows about... We get the backstory on the biker gang here. So they were couriers for LSD.
Yes.
For the chemist. And something happened between them where the chemist gave them, like, a bad batch of LSD, and they, like, lost it.
And I think he said it's because the chemist did not like them.
Yeah.
So he tried to, like, I don't know. Kill them, mess with them.
Not cool friends, And
he turned them into demons instead.
Yeah, so now they're, like, kind of, like, in between this, like, demonic dimension type thing. But yeah, I'm like, who are you, dude? Why do you know all this information?
It just ready to rapid fire when someone knocks on his door finally.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage says thank you, takes his stuff, goes home, and smelts like a whole fucking scythe.
Oh.
What the hell?
It's so badass, though, because this is, I don't know, maybe the bathroom scene or after the bathroom scene, that's when the whole vibe of the movie kind of changes from, I don't know, more of like a slow acid trip to, and now we're getting vengeance, kind of like rock and roll.
Well, and right after he's done smelting the scythe, which thank God he has all the, everyone has all the equipment to smelt stuff, at their house.
Do blacksmithing?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a scythe or an axe or,
it's like
some sort of.
Half and half. It's badass, though.
It's super cool. But yeah, right after he's done with that, now we're at Act 3. We get the Mandy card, which the Mandy card is super cool.
It's sick. It's like a death metal. You know how people make the death metal shirts where it looks like vines coming off of that.
And it's like all black background. Mandy's in red, and all these vines are coming off in red, and you're like, okay, this is about to get sick.
And you get a sick guitar like, like it's about to fucking go down.
Yes.
Nick has the aviators on too, so it's business time.
I don't even write that in my notes. Wow. And this is where I think I started getting some snacks, maybe, where I was like digging into the candy and stuff,
That, and I think we were so used to the scenes going slower, and this is where they
started
speed
picking
up drastically.
Yeah,
a lot happens in a short period of time.
Yes. So he's gonna go after the demon gang as well as the cult. First with the demon gang. Yes. And so at this point he is chasing their ATV/motorcycle gang like through the woods somewhere.
Almost like tracking them.
Yeah, tracking them. He finds one, shoots this guy with an arrow.
Yes.
The guy goes down. Mm-hmm. He doesn't appear dead yet.
Right.
But then Nicolas Cage takes the car and rams into the demon, who flips the whole car over.
Yeah.
At this point, I do believe he kills that demon.
But then he gets kidnapped by another one.
Yeah, so he's successful in killing a demon,
Yes.
but his car flips and he goes unconscious. He has another one of those weird animated dreams
Right.
about Mandy. And then he wakes up. Now, here, I looked it up. He is in the demon lair.
This makes
He's
so
not
much
at his
sense.
house. Because I thought they were back at his house.
And we thought they destroyed his house in a matter of
Like hours.
Yes.
I was like, God damn.
This makes
what
sense
happened?
that it's a different house.
Yeah, so he's at the demon lair. He wakes up in their basement. He's attached to a pole in the basement. One of the demons is right there. And he also has a nail going through his hand, holding him down on the ground.
Yes.
So that's giving total, like, stigmata, like crucified
It is.
hero, right? That's what I was taking from that. I was like, all right, cool. So that demon realizes that Nicolas Cage is awake. It comes over to him, and this is the squelchy demon. This is the demon that's how I describe him, as squelchy.
That's the goo face for me.
Yes, goo face for
face.
you, squelchy for me. Yes. Gooey, dripping. There's a lot of sounds provided here of like squishing.
I was just really freaked out, as you don't realize until this point when the demon gets really close to his face, and I freaked out. I was like,
Yeah,
why is his face gooey?
It was gross.
Really creepy. But he taunts him too. Doesn't he say something about like Mandy's still burning? Or I don't know. They all taunt him. Every single one of these other people in the bad people in the movies, the antagonists, all antagonize him over this.
Yeah, but I guess they feel safe because he's like tied up, you know, but they shouldn't because it's Nicolas Cage and he's a badass. And so he's able to break that pole that he's connected to, and he just like smashes this demon.
Yeah,
Like
beats him.
beats the shit out of him. But I was like, the demon dies very quickly.
Right.
Like, and I'm like, man, it's really easy to kill a demon. Like I thought it was gonna be harder.
It
you
is.
know? Like,
and I think we have, like, first of all, we're told in the synopsis that they're demons. Different theories that I read, people think they're kind of supposed to be a visual for just horrible people.
okay.
Like a rapist or a murderer, and that's just like their demon looks in the movie are just like a visual representation of that.
Okay.
But I agreed with you when we watched this. Like, if that's a demon, you killed him just as easy as a human.
Right? I was like, that was not all that bad.
He beats him with a pipe, which arguably wouldn't maybe not even kill an actual human.
I don't know.
Depends.
It depends on how hard you're hitting him, I guess.
But then he does throw Gooface down a pit.
I don't remember the pit.
Yeah, there's a pit, and that's why I was like, why does Nicolas Cage have a pit in his basement? So this makes a lot of sense that it is the demon house.
Yes, and maybe it's a pit to hell.
Okay.
There we go.
So demons.
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 So, yeah, he kills this demon.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, he looks around. He grabs some weapons. He gets a box cutter.
Yes.
And then he puts on like this vest. Like, I don't know. I just call it the demon vest. But
Yeah.
it looks like it's maybe supposed to be like I don't know.
I
like
thought
a
it was bulletproof
or something.
but then it was kind of like an umpire vest.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on, but he put on the vest. He
Just
said,
in case. He said,
I
screw it.
I might need this,
Yeah.
you know? I don't know.
Right.
So he decides to go looking for the other demons in the house, and we're about to come up to my favorite scene.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Again, it's just shocking, chaotic. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, the movie really does start moving super fast here. There's a lot of kills kind of back to back. So
Right.
he starts walking through the house. He's walking down a hallway, and we see a room where there's two naked people in there, and one of them has a bloody butt.
Yep.
It's just bloody butt, like out in the air,
And you go,
covered in
uh-oh.
blood, and I'm like, that's a bloody butt. What is
Yeah.
that doing there, right? So he goes into the living room, and we see another demon, and this demon is sitting there watching porn,
He is
snorting some demon drugs,
like
okay?
a mountain of demon coke.
mountain of demon cocaine, and this demon also has a knife dick.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. His dick is a knife.
At first, you're like, you see the top half, and it's almost like, is this like a steampunk demon? Because he also has like a half metal arm or something. But then, yeah, you realize there's a boner, and the boner is a blade.
Yeah, giant blade boner.
And then you're like, oh my god, and you put two and two together, and it's like,
I'm like, this demon is metal as fuck.
it was
Like, what the hell? Like,
it felt like a gut punch when I put all of it together. But this is he may not be my favorite demon, but this is my favorite kill.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, your favorite kill. Not my favorite kill. This is a close second for me on favorite kill. But,
Okay.
But yeah, so Knife Dick is sitting there jerking off to some demon porn, high as fuck on some drugs. Nicolas Cage goes and tries to attack him, but misses his punch or something like that. Misses with the knife.
Yeah.
A scuffle ensues between Knife Dick and Nicolas Cage, or I'm sorry, Red. I would not want to scuffle with Knife Dick because he stands up and that thing's out there.
I was gonna say,
it's
and
he was well endowed with his knife. His knife was sharp.
His knife was sharp and huge, but he was also like the Mountain from Game of Thrones, like a giant person. Yeah, it's very scary.
So they start fighting. They fall. Like Knife Dick falls on top of Red, and you're like, oh no, did he get knifed? You know what I mean? But we see that Knife Dick is stuck. His knife is stuck in the wood.
Yes.
Underneath Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is able to take his box cutter. He slices Knife Dick's throat.
Yes.
And blood pours all over Red. It was super cool.
It's
what a great
also
kill
metal
scene.
because anyone who's seen a Nicolas Cage movie, you know his like manic or just like unhinged, happily screaming. Like he is screaming like bloody murder, but out of like excitement as blood is pouring in his mouth, on his face.
He's like smiling.
Yes,
like,
he's smiling.
You know?
He's happy about it, and I'm like, this is metal. This is my favorite. That's my favorite kill.
It was so fun. That was such a fun
It's
scene.
a good one.
It was good. So. It
also kind of sets the tone of like what the rest of the movie is going to be, honestly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and this act is so it's so cool how the acts are so different that where they really do feel like different genres a lot of the times in the act, but they're done well. They're different genres done well.
Yes.
You know?
I saw someone explain the first half of the movie as like an art house horror, and then the second part is like classic campy gore.
Yeah, and it was, and I love classic campy, just like
Me too,
you
yeah.
know? So I was like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah,
so
fun.
Knife Dick, he's done for. Knife Dick's gone, but very quickly, probably because of all the noise that they made, another demon comes forward. Now,
yes.
I don't remember how exactly this demon dies. I know they end up having a knife fight, and the demon is killed. But I don't remember. This one felt like it was quick for me and wasn't as cool.
This one seemed kind of as like a fleeting moment because there's Knife Dick, and then I said attacked by another, stabs. So that's the fleeting moment one.
That's the other demon.
They just had to get rid of another one really quick.
Yeah, they were like, all right, we played them something really cool. Let's get rid of this guy quickly. You know.
But what's hilarious is immediately after this, whatever demon, Nicolas Cage starts doing some coke and checking out what the demons have around their house.
Yeah, he takes like the knife. I wonder if that knife came from Knife Dick because at this point it's a new knife.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
is it his
Yeah.
pee-pee? I don't know.
But
yeah, he takes the knife and just snorts like this mountain of cocaine.
Just
I'm like,
entirely too much.
I don't think I want to do demon drugs. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Just as a general, like, stay away from like otherworldly drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's taste testing like all the drugs they have in this house. But he's also, I mean, he is, I don't know what the right word is. There's no turning back for Nicolas Cage now. A can of worms was opened and he's going ham.
Yeah, and he actually opens their fridge, which I thought was really funny. I'm like, you're just going through the house, opens their fridge, and he finds their demon juice. And remember, that's like just a large cup of LSD.
Yes.
And this is where he dips his finger in that cup, tastes it, and his brain like explodes, and we see all these crazy images rush through his mind. And
it's so
super
awesome.
Weird. Yeah, it was so
good,
cool. And yeah, I think you even see his eyes like get bigger, and and that's through this movie. Everybody's eyes are huge. You're like, is everybody tripping balls through this whole freaking movie? It really seems.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, he tries the drugs. I feel like the drugs make him freak out. He hops outside because he's like,
needs to get out.
Okay, need a second after that.
A lot just happened.
Yeah, and then we see the last demon.
Yes.
And this demon is standing out by a car fire. He's just chilling. Nicolas Cage is like, all right, I'm going to shoot him. And he shoots him with the arrow. The arrow goes right through his throat.
Right.
The demon looks down like, oh, okay, and just like pulls the arrow out like, what's this thing doing here?
Like rips it out.
Like unfazed. So Nicolas Cage gets down there. They kind of have some combat, some hand-to-hand combat, which was done really well. It was super cool. He takes his cool scythe axe thing, and he chops off the demon's head. The demon falls back into the car. His head rolls away, but he like catches fire. Like his body catches fire.
Right.
I wrote here in my notes, just as a general rule, I don't think demons should be able to catch fire.
It doesn't.
I don't
it seems.
think, I'm like, you're from hell.
Doesn't really make sense.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's weird that he caught fire. But it led
Yeah.
to a really great scene where Nicolas Cage finds a cigarette on the floor and is able to light it off the demon's head. So I was like, okay, I'll let it slide.
Badass.
Yeah, I was like, that brings it around. All the demons are dead. He's done it. And at this point, Nicolas Cage takes the ATV that one of the demons was riding, and he drives straight to the LSD, like, chemist area where he's in a hangar and he's making LSD. Now, I don't know how Nicolas Cage knew where this was.
No.
They never, nobody ever told him. Like,
I don't know
hey.
if he was supposed to have just like stumbled upon it or whatever, but however it happened, you know what I'm going to say again. This is my favorite scene.
You did like a lot of stuff in this scene. You were like,
First of all, there's a guy who I feel like pretty quickly you realize he's the chemist. He's making drugs because he's like basically naked besides like an apron. But he's it's very strange. He seems to have this intuitive ability to just know that Nicolas Cage is there, know what he wants, be able to answer his questions before he even asks them. And we very quickly learn that he has a Bengal tiger pet that's just in a cage.
Yes.
That he tests his LSD on.
So first thing I noticed was the guy standing there. Yeah, he's making his LSD. He's got, his little like papers in the drug water and the LSD water. And he's just like hands up in that shit.
I was gonna say,
like he's not wearing no gloves. He's just like dabbling in the.
It's like both whole hands just like holding the tabs, like the paper down under the liquid, and it's like, yeah, this man is on another
fucking fried
planet. He's in another galaxy.
Yeah,
for sure.
And yes, inside of this hangar where this chemist is making drugs, we do see a Bengal tiger. We find out that that's how the chemist tests his drugs, because he's like, oh, she's chill and cool, it's a good batch. If she's not, then it's a bad batch. And in this moment, we see where he's able to read Red's mind. So Red being Nicolas Cage. I keep saying Nicolas Cage. It's hard not to say Nicolas Cage.
I know.
It's Nicolas Cage, But he keeps like reading Red's mind, and he's like, wow, they really like fucked you over, blah, blah, blah. Then he starts talking to the tiger, and he's like, oh yeah, I have to release you, and he releases the tiger.
I was very concerned about what was gonna happen, but yeah, it was
like,
weird.
We got a freaking tripping tiger. I would keep that thing in the cage, man. Like,
I love this man so much, though. It's like
he's cool,
just like
he's a cool
burnout hippie type guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so weird because he's quiet, and all of a sudden he says, "You're right." And we're like, what are you, who are you talking to? But apparently it was Lizzie the tiger. I think her name was Lizzie, and yeah, he lets the tiger out, and I thought he was doing it to kill Red.
I thought they were, I thought they were going to get attacked, but the tiger just kind of runs off.
Just walked off like, bye.
And then the chemist starts answering Red's questions, but Red's not actually asking any questions. He's like thinking stuff, and the chemist is just answering him. And the chemist uses his like LSD geolocator brain to be like, he looks up in the sky and he's like, go north.
Yep.
And
and then he leaves, and then Red leaves.
And then Red just dips out, and the whole time I'm just like, this is a trippy scene.
It's trippy.
So weird.
It's so weird, and it's funny because I am just now realizing this. It's almost like a monologue that is a dialogue, but it's a monologue. So once again, it's just one person in a scene.
Yeah, because I don't know
talking.
I actually don't know that Red actually said anything.
I don't think he says anything. He just walks in and stares at him, and the chemist just starts responding to what we assume are his thoughts.
Yeah, and that was like a weirdly intense scene too. It was trippy, but it was like really intense, where I don't know, I kind of felt like a rubber band ready to snap, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen right now? Like,
exactly.
It was just really heavy.
Yeah.
But we get the information from the chemist. Head north, you're gonna find the cult. Red gets back on the ATV, and while driving to find the cult, his ATV gets stuck in the mud.
Oh, that's right.
It's just like
1 inch down, though.
Yeah, like almost no amount of mud. and his ATV gets stuck, so he does have to walk.
He acts so mad, and like he has to ditch the 4-wheeler, and then they like pan out, and it's like, just push it out.
Yeah, literally, I'm like, dude, you could get off and push it, it'll come right out, man. Like,
it was genuinely, I think, the only part of the movie where I was like, this is actually silly.
Yeah, it was a little silly, but it was still fun.
Yeah,
you know, maybe that was a comedic thing. I don't know. Maybe.
And again, with Nicolas Cage, you never know. You just have to roll with it.
Yeah, so we roll with it. He finds the cult church. It's like this cool, like, honestly, kind of cool A-frame church building.
It is really cool.
He is out there in the woods, kind of waiting, scoping the situation out. He sets a booby trap for if any cars come by, and a car does come by. It's Brother Swan and Sister Lucy. So Brother Swan is the annoying guy that, you know, called for the demon.
That does everything for the leader.
Yeah, so the brother of Marlene.
Right.
And then Sister Lucy is the woman that almost shot herself.
I catch the vibe. Lucy is the only one I catch the vibe from. You said it earlier, like how she didn't want to play Russian roulette. I catch the vibe the whole movie. She's the only cult member that like doesn't actually want to be there.
Yeah, and I said when we first watched it, I was like, were these cult members taken similar to how Mandy was? I don't think they all were, but maybe a couple of them were.
And that's
like
a
Sister Lucy.
That is a super fair question, and I would assume if any of them were, yeah, it is Lucy, because I believe she is the only one that's spared. I don't know if I should say that right now and give it away, but I believe she's the only one that's spared.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
So yeah, the car drives by, it hits that booby trap, tires go flat. Brother Swan gets out of the vehicle to check it out, and that's where he is met with Red. Red subdues Brother Swan, gets him down on the ground. He's up against a tree, and Brother Swan is still talking mad shit. He was like, yeah, that whore really burned bright, didn't she? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, fuck this guy.
Every single one of them. It's just like talking mad shit to the very freaking end.
And so this is probably my favorite kill.
I was going to say, I thought it was.
Now, I will say this, knife dick, my favorite scene, as far as a scene goes.
Yeah.
But favorite kill because Brother Swan is so, like, I just wanted to punch him in the face.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Not only does he have a punchable face, but all of this, I don't think anyone else would have pulled it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, he was really good at making us hate him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
none of the other members have the same earnest. Marlene is very earnest, but I don't know, follow through.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I hate Marlene as well, but there's something about Brother Swan.
He knew how to play the demons too, because he handed over that one kid real fast. He knew what to do.
Yep. Brother Swan's down there, he's talking shit, and Nicolas Cage takes the axe, not the axe side, but the end that's pointed, puts it in his mouth, and just starts digging into his like skull with it, you know, just crushes in, blood's pouring out of his mouth. There's crunching happening. They're just like looking at each other while it happens, and I was like, hell yeah! It was. I liked that kill a lot. It was a solid kill because in the mouth is a lot. You know? That feels intense.
Yeah, it's almost like he put it in his mouth at first to get him to stop talking, and then just kind of almost slowly, and then right back in there.
Thank God.
And Brother Swan didn't even fight back at all. He just accepted his fate completely.
Yep. So he looks back at Sister Lucy and for some reason does choose to spare her. I know that Sister Lucy didn't want to be there. I don't know if I'd have spared her though. I'm like, you still did it. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't ever be in this situation. So, but if I was Nicolas Cage, I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, he spares her and continues on to the cult lair.
Yeah. So he leaves after he kills Brother Swan.
Oh, he finds Derpy.
This is a really good kill too, but it was another one that I feel like they were like, let's get this over with fast.
Quick, right? It was so quick. So I think Derpy guy was driving.
You know, he's washing his car at night.
Oh yeah.
Apparently.
Okay, so he's washing his car.
Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the scythe out of nowhere just comes.
Yes,
Boom, right into his head.
So yeah, Nicolas Cage throws his scythe. It hits this derpy brother in the head, and you can see blood splatter and stuff like that. But I remember this scene being like silhouetted.
I was gonna say it's a silhouette shot, which makes it really cool.
Yeah, so it's like total red background with the silhouette of the brother cleaning his car, and then the silhouette of the axe coming in and just hitting him in the head. And so that was a cool scene. I like how they did that, and I feel like there was a lot of inspiration taken from like classic horror genre with that scene.
For sure.
Yeah. So kills Derpy Brother. Again, that's a fast one, just kind of getting him out of the way.
Yep.
Now he finds another cult member because he's just going, and at this point he's still outside.
Because
outside.
The vibe is he's on their property now, so he's kind of
Yes.
just like running into them.
Yeah, so he's walking around kind of looking for them, trying to find them, and he finds one who is like out in an area cutting wood.
He's
Again, we're in
mad
the middle
chill.
of the night.
He's mad chill. He gives no shits when he sees Nicolas Cage, really. He's just like, all right, we're going to battle or what?
They both end up battling with chainsaws.
Yeah, so Nicolas Cage picks up a chainsaw. It's a regular chainsaw, and he's trying to get it started, and they move the camera over to... What was his name? We don't know his name.
I
Just
swear
a cult
I've
member.
never seen this cult member before. This is the
No.
first time I've seen this cult. I'm like, who are you?
We
Where
don't
did you
know
come
him,
from?
but he's a cult member. He pulls out like a 6-foot long, like a tree
huge chainsaw. I was like, God damn! Like,
And
what
you're
are you
like-
gonna do with that thing?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so they start their little chainsaw battle.
Mm-hmm.
Nicolas Cage is finally last second able to start his chainsaw right before he gets axed through the neck.
He didn't seem as concerned as I felt. I was
know.
like, you're a logger, and you're really gonna have to get it together right now.
Right? I'm like, you're a logger, you can't start this chainsaw.
Yeah.
But he starts the chainsaw. They epic chainsaw battle ensues. They're fighting with the chainsaws. The guy's got a 6-foot chainsaw. I'm like, I don't know how you're even swinging that thing around. I would have chopped off my own leg immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, first pull to start it, and leg's gone.
This is the campiest scene of the entire movie to me.
This scene is giving Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
To the nth degree.
I remember this scene, the tone and color being more of that like tan, sandy color.
Yes.
And that's straight Texas Chainsaw.
It is.
Yeah. And something that I found really cool was that Marlene, Sister Marlene, or Mother Marlene, she's played by Olwen Furray, who plays Sally Hardesty in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, no freaking way.
Yeah. So I was
That's
like,
pretty
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
So definitely felt like they took that vibe from Texas Chainsaw. So brother, whoever the hell that guy is, cult person, ends up falling on top of a chainsaw, and his body's jiggling around, and you're like, all right, he's gone.
That was a really good kill, too.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
It was
fun. It was very campy, very silly, but fun.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Red's able to enter the church. He finds a glowing red passageway that leads down into God knows what, and he takes the passageway. What's under there? A whole freaking underground system of tunnels.
I'm telling you, we watched a very drawn-out scene of Nicolas Cage walking through many different tunnels. Like this, it just keeps going on, and it's like, how do these people even breathe down there?
How did they make this? Because the church is very small. It's like a little tiny shack of a building.
It is.
And then it's like, well, yeah, they did all this underground work. Like, that's crazy.
It is. It's wild.
So he's going through the tunnel. I thought he was going to find Mandy. I thought that, it wasn't Mandy that actually got burned up. I was like, he's going to come across Mandy in a room.
Well, it's so sad because I feel like you see someone in a rocking chair with really long hair, and I got really excited too.
But
because you said, is that Mandy? And I was like, oh my God, is it No, it's fucking Marlene.
Yeah, so he enters a room. Somebody's sitting backwards. Like you can only see their back and their hair. Yeah, it's Mother Marlene. She's in the room. She's crying. She's sad because Jeremiah didn't like her as much as Mandy, and she wanted to be the one, and she's this and that. And it's just like, yeah.
And he's looking
crazy.
at her just like, shut.
Yeah, he's just standing there like deadpan.
Yeah.
Red is standing deadpan, just like, I do not give a fuck about what you're talking
Covered
about.
in blood.
Yeah, he has progressively gotten bloodier and more gross and more crazy looking over all of these kills as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an off-scene kill. We do not see him kill Marlene.
And I feel like I think I even made a comment. I guess he's sparing the women.
Yeah, at first we were like, he's sparing all the women. Like, what the hell? We are equal opportunity here, baby. We don't like that.
Marlene, like, gleeful. Like, that's the thing, too, is when they were killing Mandy, they were, like, gleeful. Mm-hmm. When she was lit on fire, they were all, like, delighted at what they did. So I was like no.
Happy and jumping around.
Murder her. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we don't see that kill. But we do get to see when Nicolas Cage continues on and finds Jeremiah, who is in a different room in true Jeremiah fashion, he is naked.
Naked and ranting.
Naked and tripping balls as usual. Well, Nicolas Cage throws Marlene's head at Jeremiah, and Jeremiah has this little like, oh!
It was so good. He jumps and kicks it away from him.
Yes. And so he screams and kicks the head away. And at this point, we're monologuing again. It's Jeremiah. It would be nothing if it wasn't a monologue, you know?
It has to be. It's the only thing he knows how to do. This time he's going on about how he's God's chosen one and how God gifted him, like gave him this tunnel, the mole tunnels.
Yeah. And yeah.
It's wild.
He's going back and forth too between like begging Red to not kill him and blah blah blah, and then trying to intimidate Red.
Yeah, I said another diatribe goes from God's chosen one to literally I'll suck your dick real fast.
Yeah. So he's begging, and Red starts grabbing his head.
Yeah,
and that's when he's like, "I'll blow you, man." Yeah. So he offers Red a blowjob. Red. I don't think Red says much.
I don't think
anything.
He says
this whole act,
and it's just Jeremiah kind of
just
going back and forth. Because after the "I'll blow you," it's back to I don't bow before you. You bow before me. Because Nicky Cage has him on his knees, like holding a skull. Yeah,
and yeah, at that point, I guess Nicolas Cage is like fucking done listening to this bullshit.
You remember what he says? He says, "I'm your god." Do you remember that? I fucking forgot that. Red says it. Yeah. And then he...
it's like I swear, like one of the only things he says then during this whole fucking act.
It's a very silent rampage for him for most of them. I think the only one he really speaks to is the very first... Or the second demon, Goofface.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
you're right.
Everyone else, he very quietly... It's screaming or nothing. Just like, you know why I'm here.
So he goes ahead though, and he takes Jeremiah's head and just starts like, good, and he's like pushing, and we see another really cool kill scene. I mean, Jeremiah's head crushes in, one of his eyeballs pops out.
Yes,
it's so campy though, and fun, and like silly, and just. You know, obviously it doesn't look real, but it's fun. Like it's a fun kill.
Yeah, it doesn't look real, but it's done really well. Like I think there's
the eyeball got me though.
Yes,
eyeball got me.
You
when
loved
that eyeball
that.
popped out, I was like, oh my god, his eyeball just popped out.
I think there's bad special effects, and then there's like maybe not high quality special effects, but have a tone or a vibe to them that are more like 80s, which makes it acceptable and good and fun, right?
I'd agree. Okay. I agree. It's very much like 80s special effects.
Yes.
But it is good. It's fun. And it's good in a bad way. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
So
it was solid. So Jeremiah, he's done for. He's dead. Red decides he's going to light this tunnel system on fire. I'm like, man, that's kind of a bad idea. Because he lights it on fire right where he's at and starts walking away. I'm like, bro, there ain't that much oxygen down there.
I was going to say, you're going to smoke yourself.
You just took 5 minutes to walk to where you are. I'm like, I would have waited until I was out maybe and then like drop something down there. But, you know, he lights it on fire. Nothing happens to him. He's okay. And he starts driving away from the cult lair. He looks over to his passenger seat and we see Mandy. She's sitting there wearing the same clothes she was wearing before she died.
Right.
Red is like looking at her and the camera pans back to Red. He's covered in blood. All you can see are like the whites of his eyes open really wide and his teeth as he's like smiling.
Yeah, it's like he's smiling at her and he looks really insane, but also at the same time it's like, oh, this is sad.
It's sad. He looks crazy though.
Yes.
You're like his whole vibe at this point is just crazy. And then the camera pans out from the vehicle that's driving to the sky, which similar to in the first act, the sky looks like a fantasy style sky again.
It does.
It's
it
like
doesn't look
everything
like a real sky.
is like all.
I did read a theory about that.
Okay.
In the beginning of the movie, when we're catching the vibe of their relationship, and we specifically talked about this because you thought it was very interesting pillow talk, but Nicolas Cage, or Red, asks Mandy what her favorite planet is because she said she was reading about the solar system.
Yeah.
And she says that, I believe she says Jupiter is her favorite. Was it Jupiter or Saturn? It was one of them.
It was one of them with the rings.
But the theory was, since he is either hallucinating that she's there or envisioning that she's there because he loves her. When they kind of like zoom out and show that fantasy like sky, there are multiple planets in the sky. So I read a theory that was like he's still either hallucinating or envisioning a world where he is like where he wants to be, which is with Mandy and safe and loved, and like Jupiter is in the sky. You can see Jupiter in the sky.
And so that's what I wondered a little bit. I was like, well, is he crazy now because of all the weird demon drugs he did?
Yes.
Or is this symbolizing him also maybe just having made peace again? Like, you know, because in the first half, the first act of the movie, it was like he was in peace. His world was in peace, so we saw this like
that's a really good
stuff, and now he's back in peace because he got his revenge,
his vengeance. Yes, yeah. That I think that went into part of the theory too, is that it he feels better now, and peace is a great word for the beginning of the movie and the way that it ends.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Although I like peace in a crazy way because he just looks fucking nuts. So the credits play. There's no score during the credits. It's very quiet. No music or anything.
And Ashley very shrewdly pointed out that the score was so intense the entire movie, and it's very interesting. They chose to immediately cut it off and make it silent.
And it feels silent afterwards. You know what I mean?
It's like, a little weird, and I feel like it almost gives you a moment to be like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Like, to the whole movie.
Yeah,
right?
It gives you a second to, like, kind of be like, whoa, okay, time to digest.
Right.
But I'm glad we let the credits play all the way through, because afterwards there's an end credit scene where it shows some drawings. Mm-hmm. It's assumed that they're Mandy's drawings because she is, like, an artist, and some of the pictures are things that she said she was working on. But one of the pictures is an image of Red he's smoking a cigarette, and there's a tiger behind him.
I didn't notice the tiger. I noticed there was a drawing of him.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a tiger behind him. It's like almost like the tiger at the chemist's place, There's
so many little things throughout this whole movie too, where how I said I felt like Red intuitively knew something was going to happen. It was in my notes somewhere, but I thought it was really interesting when they first drugged Mandy, when the cult first drugged Mandy, and they had her on the floor before Jeremiah started his whole monologue. He said something about, "Do you know what's going to happen next?" And he said, "What do you see?" or something like that. And she says, "I see the Reaper is coming." Mm-hmm. And it's like, so do they? It's like, who knows what?
Maybe the drugs helped her see, like, oh, your end is soon. You know what I mean? Or
it's just
maybe
really,
Red is the Reaper.
Yeah. Oh. It's just very interesting because if she had a vision and knew to draw Red, because I think he had those aviators on too.
I think he did. And so, I wrote in my own notes, I was like, what does this picture mean? Mm-hmm. Is that the tiger who was released from the chemist? Is that a symbolization of Red being set free after getting his revenge? Because the tiger was also set free? Or is this like going on the total other end of the spectrum? Is this all like something that Mandy wrote?
Yeah.
Is this like a story of hers, and like it's the story behind the image? Or I don't think that would be the case, but I just threw it in there as like, well, spitballing maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to listen to any freaking idea on this movie.
Great. So let me go down my rabbit hole.
I'm ready.
This rabbit hole has to do with Sigmund Freud.
Okay.
Okay, so Sigmund Freud did a big study on colors, and the colors specifically red and green, and kind of studied how red and green and the different colors, when presented to the brain, like through psychoanalysis, cause people to feel different things. So I thought that was super interesting. But he worked with a man named Carl Jung. Have you ever heard of Carl Jung?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So another psychoanalysis person, They worked together for a while until they started to drift off in their beliefs.
Yeah.
So Freud had a belief of the personal unconscious, or personal consciousness, and Jung, his thoughts were, no, there's a universal collective unconsciousness or consciousness. And so they started to drift off. With the universal collective unconsciousness that Jung believed in, it's basically that there's a shared inherited reservoir of human experiences that exist outside of our individual consciousness, and they're made up of something called archetypes.
Okay.
Such as the hero, the shadow, and the wise old man. So in this movie, you could say the hero was Nicolas Cage, the shadow was maybe the demons or the cult, and the wise old man maybe being the fucking chemist,
He was giving wise old burnt out man.
Right?
I really liked him.
So now I know this is sounding crazy. Right?
Okay. Well, yeah, keep going.
All right.
But I don't think it sounds crazy. I'm following.
Yeah, last little note there. Carl Jung started going insane. Like, he started losing his mind. And he wrote a book called The Red Book. And The Red Book is a handwritten volume in which he opens up about, like, the dark recesses of his own mind. And basically, he takes his readers on this bizarre, like, hallucinatory experience because he starts, like, hallucinating. And so he wrote a book about, like, his hallucinations and his thoughts. And it's called The Red Book. So that's my little rabbit hole. I was like,
seems, yeah, because then you could argue that the character is based off that, or the whole entire movie is inspired based off how the book is framed and written.
Yeah,
right.
Which I mean, I haven't read the Red Book. You know,
me neither.
But yeah, I was just like, it seemed. I mean, based off of what I looked into about that, I'm like, there's a lot of, like, aspects of what I just talked about in this movie, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
The color of the red and the green and how it's supposed to, like, make us feel different things when we see it. And then Red's name being Red. And it's like, well, yeah, is he hallucinating? Is this real? Is this all in his mind?
I forget what question I asked you at the end, but if the demons, quote unquote demons, became that way because the chemist purposefully made them a bad batch of LSD, which apparently they are addicted to based off of how they chug it and say they need more, right?
They seemed needed it.
Does that just screw up, quote unquote, anyone the same way if they take it because Nicolas Cage took it? So at the end, it's like, so is he now like a part of the underworld or whatever those demons had going on now? Like, did he, did they become that way just over time or what? I mean, there's a lot of questions with this movie.
Yeah.
So many questions. A few of the theories I read all were based around the same idea, which is that basically all of the men in the movie are different versions of, like, male rage.
Okay.
And supposed to be like the different outcomes of different, like, male rage. And I was like, I feel like that's kind of boiling it down to a very small... I do feel
like that's interesting, but I don't know that I fully agree with that.
Yeah. And I could kind of follow. Like, we have the male rage in terms of, like, the narcissist, insane narcissist cult leader, and then the male rage in, like, more of the way, I guess it depends on how you view it, but it could be like a heroic yet vengeful way with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
So I was like, I mean, I can see that. I just feel like that's boiling a lot of, like, I feel like a lot of either so much thought went into this movie that we could probably never follow, or there was no thought. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I do feel like what you're saying kind of, it does reduce the movie down into, like, oh, it's this thing where, like, it almost feels like it's trying to fit into, like, the spot that it's not supposed to.
It's trying to shove it into, like, this is only that. And I'm like...
Which I totally... I don't really feel that way.
Me neither. I feel like there's more to it, and it's more fantastical than that.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't think it's all... I think some of it's supposed to be confusing and fun and trippy and weird.
Well, and it helps you, like, everybody, I feel like everybody can watch this movie and kind of get a different takeaway. And I think that's really cool. And it's really fun that you can watch it and be like, oh, maybe this means that, or maybe that means this. So, you know, sometimes it's nice when a movie can, like, kind of lay stuff out for you, but then sometimes it's really nice when it's like, it doesn't lay everything out. It's like, what is the symbolism behind all of this?
The only thing I want to know is, what is the green light?
That's
the one thing I want to know, is because this whole movie is so moody, and it's like red and cool colors for the most part, very like purple, blue, red, and then out of nowhere you're almost like, what the heck?
This bright electric green.
Yeah.
And I will say that, then I talk about that right there at the end, but that's one of the things I feel like they they could have given us a little bit more about like where these stones came from, what's up with the green light around them, you know, why do they have them? You know, they never really hit any of that.
I don't even need the demons explained that much. Just the green light.
It would have been fine if they didn't explain it, but then they shouldn't have put so much emphasis on it.
There was
because
a lot.
They put a lot of emphasis on like, see this, look at this, watch this, you know?
It's like, this is important. And it's like, okay, but then nothing.
But then, nothing.
Besides that, though, anything that wasn't necessarily tied up, I don't mind at all.
Yeah, no, I felt like it was really good. Do you have any final thoughts on this movie?
I think I'm just happy that I trusted my gut. Like, I'm dead ass serious that I didn't really remember. I only remembered the acid trip monologue, really. And I actually got pretty nervous after you were like, let's just watch Mandy. And then I was like, oh my God, what if it isn't as good as... I just remember after it finished just being like, whoa.
Yeah. It was so good, dude.
Whoa. And I think it's fantastic. I mean, I don't know how to explain the movie. I don't even know if it's going to come across the way we explained it. It's a movie that you just have to watch. You just have to watch it.
I wonder, people are going to listen to this and be like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to sound like the cult members when they start going, when they start going off. I think everyone fit their roles really well. Mm-hmm. I think art house horror like does fit the first half really well. I think it's so beautiful to watch, and the tone that they set sucks you in so fast. I think the best way to describe it is, like I said earlier, a movie theater experience, no matter what screen you view it on.
Yes.
It's like all encompassing, no matter where you watch it, you know?
Absolutely. So yeah, my final thoughts, again, we kind of talked about this being almost like all the genres.
Yeah.
And I do agree, it does feel like it's all the genres, but it feels like it's done really well, like I said. The horror was super fun. It was campy. It was unique, but it was unique, and they were also able to pull inspiration from so many other places, but they did it tastefully. You know what I mean? It was done really well.
Yeah.
This movie felt, and I know that film is art, but this movie really felt like an art piece. It felt like an art piece.
Okay, I know I asked you this the other night. I totally agree with you. And I really love this movie.
No, it was so, dude, it was really good.
I'm so glad I never rewatched it again until I rewatched it with you.
Yeah.
I asked you this the other night. Like, what other movie would you compare this to? Do you have another movie to compare this to?
I don't have another movie.
I wonder, could I Google real quick movies like Mandy and see? I want to see what the internet thinks, because I truly cannot think of anything to compare this to. Let's see, movies like Mandy, and just see what it says. So it just says, if you like Mandy, you would like, there's this movie called Men by A24.
Oh, look, Pig. I was telling you about Pig.
Pig's on there, but they might have just put that on there because
it's Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
I don't know. So there's some that look more like culty, but there's only, and then it just gives you cult movies.
Yeah, and I will say, I haven't seen any of the movies that
are on here. Neither have I.
So it sounds like we got to watch some more movies.
Yeah. See, because I'm telling you, this is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I would categorize it, if you had to give it just one genre, one category, it is a horror movie. Yeah. For sure.
And I would even give it maybe horror thrillers, like in that subcategory. But there are aspects from all genres within it.
Absolutely. And one thing I was telling you guys when we watched it is Nicolas Cage, I feel like he has the same persona or acting style in every single movie he's in. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're like, it's too much. And then sometimes it works perfectly. And I just don't understand why more people don't talk about this role for him. Yeah. Which is...
because people haven't seen it, because we never heard of it.
Perfect. He's so good. So good. So...
acting was over the top, almost like a caricature at times, but it really worked here. And that's how I feel like what we're just talking about.
Everyone else, too, was on point. Everyone understood the assignment.
Yeah, and that's acting across the board. Yes, I felt like it was
absolutely.
Good. Usually, I say the favorite kill at the end. We did talk about our favorite kills.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. But yeah, your favorite kill was Knife Dick.
For sure.
I keep calling him that. I don't know what else to call him.
Knife Dick, Goofface, and we'll figure out the other one.
Yeah, the other one, whatever. But Knife Dick, close second for me. Yeah. But then, I just really enjoyed Brother Swan, and then honorable mention of Jeremiah, of course. That was a fun kill too.
Yeah, it was.
So your final rating?
This is a fucking 5, dude. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm trying to not say the F word too much on your podcast, but a fucking 5 for me.
I really wanted to give it a 5. I did. I wanted to give it a 5, but I gave it a 4.75. Okay, so it's right there.
That's good.
Right there. And that is just because it got dinged for some of the randomness in the plot lines that weren't explained. Like the stone, like the, friend that Nicolas Cage gets all his information from and all these weapons. I'm like, yeah, who are these? Where'd this guy come from? What's happening with this? And
I agree. I'm just biased. If it had been anyone else besides Nicolas Cage and they still did it really well, I probably would have gone around it's Nicolas Cage. I'm his biggest stan, so we're going 5.
Yeah, it's not even that those had a huge impact on the movie, but they were just in my mind. Like I was waiting for the answer from some of that stuff, and it never came up.
And you can't find a satisfying answer online.
Yes, so for that 4.75,
yeah.
But it was almost a perfect movie. It was almost perfect.
I'm just glad you both enjoyed it so much. It made me so happy.
It was so good. So yeah, that was the movie Mandy, 2018 film. It was a great movie. If you guys have not seen it, you should have watched it already because now we told you the whole thing. But either way, go watch it because you just got to see it. I don't know.
Please message his podcast and let him know what you think because I need to know what other people think too.
Yeah. You can email us at bloodinkpodcast@gmail.com or just comment, wherever you're watching.
Yes.
And let's see what you guys think of this because there was a lot happening here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this with me, Bee.
Thanks for having me. I hope
you had fun.
I did have fun. Yeah, absolutely.
I hope I didn't just talk your ear off the whole time. I hope it felt like we were getting into the meat and potatoes of everything.
You're good. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking too much, so I try to shut up a little bit.
You were great. And then, if you guys don't know, Bee has a podcast of her own. You want to plug your podcast a little bit? I know right now you guys are on a break, but it's going to come back.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And I think if you're down, we're going to preview your podcast stream from ours too. So yeah, definitely. Cool. My sister and I host a true crime and we call it also a spooky podcast. Hex Marks the Spot. We're streaming everywhere you can find podcasts. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, true crime and then anything spooky, paranormal, scary stories, anything like that. So.
And it's really fun because you and your sister, obviously you guys are sisters, so your banter back and forth, I really enjoy it. I think it's silly.
I'm glad.
Fun, and then you do a lot of art and sewing and things. So you've got Bee Lysko's.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't even think about that plug. Yeah, I am an artist and I make all kinds of stuff. Clay, I paint, and I've been making clothes. That's my new hyperfixation.
Purses and cool little satchel type fish bags.
Yes,
and things,
my fish microphone. Cool. Thank you. That's Bee Lysko Art. So BeelySko Art on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads. Every.
Yeah, there's so much to keep up with. Oh my god!
And I don't. So
me either. I've got the Instagram, and I'm like, that's good enough for me.
Good for you.
I don't want to be trying to post everywhere. It takes so much time.
It's too much. Don't do it.
I know.
But thank you for having me. Yeah. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I know we got to watch Pig at some point.
Yeah, whether it goes on the pod or not, we just need to watch
it.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not really a horror, like I said, so probably won't go on the pod. But I just want to watch it.
We're doing it.
It's a Nicolas Cage movie, and now we have to obviously watch all of them.
It's gonna be a marathon.
Yeah, it's gonna be, fun.
And it's gonna last a while.
He's in so many movies.
Too many movies.
But all right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out with us today. Bee, I don't have a sign-off thing. I never know what to say.
I know. I heard you and Ashley talking about that on the last one. I've
been trying to think of it too, but it's harder. What's your sign-off? Do you have a sign-off?
No, I always just give our socials, and then I'm like later, skater, or literally just Irish goodbye. I'll just cut it off.
I like later, skater.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, you guys can find Blood and Ink just about anywhere you get podcasts, but you know that because you're listening to it. But we also have Blood Ink Podcast on Instagram, so make sure you follow us there. And go ahead and send over any of your movie recommendations or short stories that you want to be read out loud on the pod. And otherwise, thanks you guys for listening, and bye-bye.
Later, skaters.
Dude, I love